It's about being all in every day, being bought in, 100% invested. We can all have our tough moments. However, that shouldn't deter us. Every day is an opportunity to grow and to improve, to learn from each other, to connect, to have stronger connections and stronger relationships, and to make an impact in someone else's life. It's just the iron sharpens iron effect.
We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 Strength and Health Authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Strong by Design podcast show. Hosting today, Coach Chris Wilson. So glad to have you. Thank you for joining our podcast. If this is day one for you, the first time you've heard our show, then congratulations. No, but thank you. Honestly, always great to have a new listener. And there's plenty of material to go back and listen to. If you like today's message, then you'll absolutely love the hundreds of previous episodes on our podcast. If you're a return listener, welcome back. Always grateful for you. Thank you for listening, for sharing this, for possibly even giving a rating or a review. Those mean a lot. Keep them coming. We love to hear from you. We love the feedback. It helps us determine what type of content to make, what we should make more of, the things we should talk about more here on the podcast. Plus, it makes us more visible as we get more reviews and get more ratings. That helps drive more listeners to our show, gives us more visibility, and we are just, thank you in advance for doing that. It does mean a lot, and we just love what we do here on the Strong by Design podcast. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it for 5 years now. We're entering our 6th season here shortly. Once we hit May of this year, which we have with this episode, we are into our 6th season. I'm recording this towards the end of April, so this is a fantastic point on the podcast. We're really growing. 2022 was a huge year of growth for us, and we've started off 2023 very strong. So really excited about what's to come. This episode in particular is a little bit different because we don't do a lot of these solo episodes where I am taking a topic and really drilling down on it, going as deep as I can on something that really, the solo episodes are typically reserved for our core values here at Strong by Design. And we have 7 of them. And I've made previous episodes about some of them. And if you're interested in those, in knowing what those ones are, we have 3 I can name right now. Episode 204, that's titled This Emotion Fights Depression, featuring Team Critical Bench. So we had several of us, like a panel almost, talking about gratitude. Episode 231 was titled Passion is the Fuel Behind All Success. And that was about, obviously, our core value of passion. And episode 261 is titled What Happens in Vegas, What You Do When Nobody Is Looking. And as the Coast Guard helicopter goes overhead, I don't think you're probably hearing that, but we're right near an airport / Coast Guard center. So that's always fun. So that particular one, episode 261, is about integrity, what you do when nobody is looking. And so what are our 7 core values here at Critical Bench? These are, and I'm going to get into a little bit of a story, how we came up with these, but these are, basically the pillars or the foundation of our business, what we determine to be the most important criteria that we use as a filter or a lens for doing anything, for making decisions in the business and any action that we take. And so these 7 are these. It's passion, integrity, gratitude, service, positive attitude, decisiveness, and faith. And it creates a fun little acronym that we use called PIGS PDF, PIGS PDF. And we actually quiz all of our team members in team meetings and huddles, whether we're in-house or even our virtual team, because we have an in-house team of several men and women, and then we have a lot of people that are part of our team all over the world that we meet with virtually. And we have fun kind of quizzing everybody, make sure they know what our core values are, because that's how important they are. So we love sharing these with our audience, and we actually have every room in our building. We have several offices, about 2,000 square feet of office space. And then we have, of course, the compound, which is our big gym that's private for all of our YouTube filming and all of our product creation. And but in every room here in Critical Bench, we have our core values posted. We have these great posters, and each core value is defined. So it's not just a word, it's a definition, our definition of that word, how it applies to us here in business. And so how do we as Critical Bench define the word service? Well, we say service is to lead with the heart of a servant and to serve with the heart of a king. Okay. And obviously, when that comes to mind, for me, I kind of immediately think of Jesus. I think of Jesus and what he did for his disciples. Washing of feet, which was very symbolic back at the time. That was something that somebody would do for someone else. Someone, when you walked into a home, obviously, a couple thousand years ago, people had sandals. They did not have closed shoes like we have today. They had open-toed shoes typically, and their feet would get very dusty and very dirty. And when you would enter a residence, a home, one of the first things you did was wash your feet and wash your hands. And so it was considered, the work of a servant to do that. And then here you have the King of the Jews. You have Jesus, the Son of God, washing the feet of his followers, of his disciples, obviously at the Last Supper. And so it has a lot of meaning for us, the word service, in the way that we define it. And I'm going to talk about the many elements of service. That's what this podcast episode is dedicated to, is me drilling down as far as I can go with what I felt were the most important elements of this word service, how it applies to me as a human being, me as a supervisor and a leader here at Critical Bench, me as a husband and a father. So I love episodes like this because it really helps me to talk through things. I think when you're capable of talking in great detail about something, almost from a point of like instructing or teaching, it helps you to know it on a different level, to learn it even more, and to adopt it more. And so this benefits me as much as it does you. So thanks again for joining and being part of this episode today. So a quick overview. Why here at Critical Bench did we first decide that core values were necessary? And then how did we go about the process of developing these? So number one, I'll say all businesses, and for that matter, all individuals, should have their own set of guiding principles, of guiding values, things that are non-negotiables in their life. So you can certainly steal from us. Glad to give these away. You can take all 7 of these or a few of them that you feel are essential in your life and utilize them. And these should be the bedrock, the foundation for how you live your life, how you connect with people, how you handle your relationships, how you work with your coworkers and deal with your spouse and your children, things like that. So this goes way beyond just using it professionally. Mike and I the founder of Critical Bench, have known each other many, many years. And when our team was a bit smaller several years ago, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, Mike was at a point where he felt like he was questioning the purpose of the business in terms of like, what's our legacy? What do we want to really be known for? Kind of these really good reflective questions, things that we should all be asking each other, like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? What is it that I'm trying to do in this business ultimately, besides being profitable and making money, right? Because yes, that's obviously a big goal for any company, and is to be profitable, but it's also to produce something. And are we capable of producing something real, tangible, that people can take with them and improve their lives? And in order to do that, we need to be rooted in something. So we had a mentor of ours, Dr. Ron Eccles, who's a past guest on our podcast. I'll have to have him back because it's been a while since he's been on the show. He's a terrific man. He's a spiritual leader for us. He's a mentor, business mentor of ours. He's a very close friend. And so we decided it would be best to have him come in and spend a day with him talking about what are our values as a company, what's our mission, what's our vision. And he helped after like a full day we spent together. He really helped coin the phrase, actually, strong by design. And you are strong by design, which we have been, championing or using as our mantra for several years now, which eventually became obviously the name of the podcast, which is pretty awesome. And what we determined was, these 7 core values, and then we defined them. So it was a really productive day and a memorable day and an important day for our company. And so let's talk now about what these elements of service are. I've done a little bit more digging and some reading to try and find what I felt were the most important elements of this word service. And so I'm just going to kind of rattle off some of my main takeaways. And I think this is, again, going to be very helpful for you. And so let's start with a really good place. Let's start with love, leading with love. And that can be very hard to do, especially in today's climate, today's culture. It'd be very hard to lead with love. But the first and second commandment of the Old Testament are this: to love God with all of our heart, soul, and mind, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Okay, so number one, that vertical relationship with God, with our Creator, the Creator of all things, the Creator of the universe. And secondly, to also love our neighbor, which is anybody. Our neighbor is anybody that we come in contact with. It could be a stranger. It could be somebody that lives next door. It could be a coworker. It's anybody in your life. To look upon other people as God looks upon us, and to show that love in a real way. And that's, again, extraordinarily hard. But you are serving others when you do that, when you show them love and give them that grace. Okay? All right, so that's the first element, and that's the good launching pad, I think, for the rest of these. Number two is to be the example and have complete alignment in your life. There's a lot of us that live out of alignment. There's things that we want for ourselves, but then when we kind of look at what our actions are, it doesn't really line up with maybe our wishes for ourselves. So you need to adopt certain things, and then you have to then walk those out, live those out. So you adopt a certain way of living and create a plan in your mind. Maybe it's even written down, but then you have to follow through and put that into motion. Okay. it becomes who you are. And if you do it enough, it becomes who you are at your core, where you're not even trying anymore. It's just who you have become. That's change. That's growth. And we're all capable of it. In fact, I mean, anyone who says that they don't change is first of all, it's just an untrue statement. I mean, if you look at your life every 5 or 10 years, there's massive change that takes place. As you age, it's just part of life. You're going to change, but you want to be changing the right way. So again, it's people feeling in alignment, that vertical alignment, I think, with God, having that relationship established there, and then how they are living and walking that out horizontally with others. So this second element is kind of based on the first one, leading with love. It's like being the example of love to others, and living in that alignment. Another way of saying it is, it's your true self putting others' needs before your own. When you love on other people, you're thinking of them before yourself. Like if the airplane has an emergency and the overhead compartment drops down the mask, what do they always say to do, right? Well, first you got to put it on yourself. So you got to love yourself, number one, in order to then love your neighbor and help them out. Okay. But that's where I really think that loving yourself is really loving who created you, who made you. And we don't talk about that enough. I don't think in life, is like people's love of themselves, not in an egotistical way, not in a prideful way, just genuinely loving themselves, being kind to themselves, the words they use in their own head, that kind of thing. Not sabotaging yourself, truly loving yourself, I think makes it easier then to pass that on to other people. So you want to live in that alignment. Number 3, doing the right thing isn't always the easy thing. And I think we've all come into situations where that is very true, where there's something that you need to do that's the right thing, even though it's going to be terribly difficult, maybe emotionally, or you just don't like confrontation. And I get it. A lot of people don't. They run from it. They avoid it. The hard conversations, when done in love and in kindness, are essential in life. We need to have them. We need to have them in our marriages. Even though I have a lot of work to do on those, I don't always handle those conversations well enough. I don't love on my spouse well enough. I don't treat her with enough kindness sometimes when she's giving me, we can get defensive when she's telling me truthful things that are hard for me to hear, even though after some thought and after some reflection, I'm like, well, she has a point. I agree with her. It's just hard in the moment. But yeah, you have to have that communication, right? You have to be willing to confront the difficult, always striving for that peace of mind and not being weighed down with the burdens of things that are just like unspoken, unsaid. And this must be done quickly and without delay. The longer we wait to have those difficult conversations, the more difficult they become and the more strained the relationships become, whether that's, again, in your professional environment or in your personal, with friends, with family, with spouses. So confront things as quickly as you can. Maybe sometimes you do need a few days to put the words on paper or to think about things a little bit more before having that tough conversation. But do the right thing, even though it's not the easy thing. That's putting others before you. It really is, because you're a truth seeker at that point. You are a reconciler. You are a forgiver, and it's really important to have and to demonstrate those qualities, I think, in order to have ultimately to have peace, right? The next one, number 4, I believe, creating a culture mindset. Now, this applies in your work life, in your work environment, or in your home. Your home is a certain culture in your home, a certain energy, a certain feeling that people will have when they enter your domicile, to throw out a fun word. Everybody's home has a vibe to it, right? Or their workplace has a vibe or a feeling attached to it. That's culture. And here at Critical Bench, with our 7 core values, when people enter our building, they feel that. And you're either, especially if you're part of our team, if you joined our team, you're either on board with all of these core values, or you're just not, you're going to weed yourself out. You're just not going to last, because there is maybe going to be an integrity issue that comes up. There's going to be, you're lazy. You're too slow on things. And decisiveness is a huge, or fast action. We call ourselves, and I'm going to define all these, but fast, massive action takers, right? It's decisiveness, being quick with things, not holding on to things too long, like letting things move and flow in a business. You don't want to be the bottleneck. Things like that. And so it's all about team. It's all about the team concept. I mean, think of the best sports teams, the champion sports teams that are out there. It's not all about one person. Certainly there might be a superstar on that team, but they're not doing it by themselves. Everyone's bought in. And it might be because the leadership is so good and so valuable and so well respected, but everyone's bought into a team concept, a culture, if you will. And then what happens when that is established? You see more and more success from that team. And sometimes it's really hard to create that environment, but once you have it, man, ride it. And don't give it away. Don't settle. Don't give in. Don't let people, don't let people ruin what you've created. You have to then continue to work at maintaining that culture. And that's what we've done here. And it's taken many years. I mean, we've been around almost 25 years, and we feel like we have a real tangible culture that people feel when they enter our building and work with us. And this is done when you're all in it together, is the mindset, that you care about each other. You care about the people that you work with. You respect each other as individuals, as human beings, and you support each other, and you stay in constant communication with each other. And this is what makes for a good, healthy, and strong, enduring relationship. And this applies, obviously, to not just, as I've said, your work life or professional life. This applies to your personal life, and it just makes you a better human being. That's for sure. Last couple, humility and transparency, creating authenticity. Humility, what's humility? It's being humble. That's not thinking that you're above others or better than others. We're all people. Some of us, obviously, different backgrounds, different success stories, different levels of success, right? As we define them to be. But certainly, for me, I have great admiration for people that are the most humble, even though technically if they wanted to, they could really, shout from the mountaintops how amazing they are. And people would be like, well, they kind of got a point there. But there's just something, so much extra appeal when people are not just bragging about themselves, their actions, their successes, their wins, their possessions, when they're more modest and they demonstrate this humility. There's something that's so fantastic about it. I mean, I think of somebody like a Tony Dungy, or somebody that's just calm, cool, collected. You're never going to hear them say much about themselves or their own triumphs, because they're not looking at themselves. They're not focused on themselves. They're focused on everyone else around them, making everyone else better. And that's such a great way to be. The transparency, again, that's just openness and honesty, and not having a facade, not trying to mask things. And that's so freeing and so huge. And what this creates is it creates like a real, genuine, authentic relationship. And you're creating interactions that are true, that are deeper and more meaningful. Because we're all human, we're all capable of failure and mistakes. I could count on both hands today alone how many mistakes and failures I've already had for the day, and things that I could do better, things I could fix, things I wish I could take back or say differently, right? And but we can't be too hard on ourselves because of our humanness, because of our we are all fallible, and that's just the nature of being a human being. We can strive for perfection, certainly. We can strive for something that's not really ever attainable. We realize that, but it doesn't mean we can't work for it, right? Doesn't mean that we can't continue to try to get better, even though we might not be the best or get to that finish line of perfection. We can still work towards that. And that ultimately, here at Critical Bench, because we're a business that's operated by Christian men and women, why we feel the need for a savior, somebody to redeem us. And we are humbled every day. I think we do a fair job here at leaving our egos behind, all of us that work here, and dropping those facades and just giving each other grace. Huge part of it. And this just creates like a very comfortable, real work environment. And there's just not that superficial feel. Again, when people walk in our building, they are very quick to say, wow, something different about this place, about these people. I just feel better. I feel the energy. I feel acknowledged. I feel respected. I feel, like I want to come back. And that's important. And so it's taken a long time to get to this point, but now that we have it, we're not going to be letting it go. And lastly, it's about being all in every day, being bought in, 100% invested. We can all have our tough moments and our difficulties, as I've said, however, that shouldn't deter us. Every day is an opportunity to grow and to improve, to learn from each other, to connect, to have stronger connections and stronger relationships, and to make an impact in someone else's life. It's just the iron sharpens iron effect, right? When your heart's in the right place, when you're all in, when you're passion filled, that helps fuel other people. That helps fill other people's cup, so to speak. Your cup will never empty if you're pouring into others, because the universe will find a way to fill your cup up. And that's what Jesus referred to himself as, is like the living well. He's the water of life, the spring that'll never run dry. And it's really powerful to think about. And that's what I think being all in every day, just having that faith and that hope in others and in your Creator, and just being all in. Listen, I have my tough moments, my tough days, certainly, but I don't let that define me, and they are few and far between. I try to always practice gratitude and focus on the blessings I have in my life, because I have so many. I mean, one of the things I say when I pray is, Lord, I am so blessed. I can't even count. I couldn't even begin to count all the blessings in my life and all of the people you've put into my life. It's just unbelievable. And I want to return that favor. I want to serve others as I've been served, because I feel like I've been so fortunate, given so many great opportunities to get me to where I am today. And hopefully I'm only about halfway in my race, in the marathon of life. So I got a long way to go, hopefully many decades left. So what I want to do is go through some scripture that I thought was very powerful. And I'm certain that there's a few here that you've no doubt heard before, or at least versions of them, depending on what Bible translation that you're reading. Or some of these might be stitched or printed on something hanging in your home. So there's some good stuff here. But I did a quick Google search, as we all are capable of doing now and again. And I found that the word servant is in the Bible 845 times, 845 occurrences of servant in the Bible. And so I thought, well, wow, I guess they talk a lot about service in the Bible. So let's talk about some of these things, shall we? So I'm going to take you through some lines of scripture, as I said, and I just love these. So here we go. Ready? From Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, 20, verses 26 through 28. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever would be first among you must be your slave, even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. From the Gospel of John, 13, 12 through 14. When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, "Do you understand what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet." That's referencing, obviously, what I said at the start. What a powerful thing to have done for his followers, was to go one by one and wash all of their feet. And them not even understanding in the moment how symbolic that was, or what that really meant for him to be doing that. John 15, verse 12. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No doubt you've heard that before. Galatians 5, 13 and 14. For you were called to freedom, brothers. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. For the whole law is fulfilled in one word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Obviously, a lot of these are a lot of crossover. Matthew 23, verse 11 and 12. The greatest among you shall be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. This again, kind of touching on that humility that I was talking about. It's such a great sign, I think, of strength and confidence in who you are as a human being when you're humble. You could go the other direction, but there's just something in you, it doesn't feel right. Like, that almost robs me of all my successes and all my victories and all the greatness in me, is by talking about it. It's like, let it just be discovery for everyone else, right? Let my actions speak for myself. I don't need to talk about it, that type of thing. Anyway, I find great admiration for people who are able to really walk that out. Philippians 2, verse 1 through 4. So if there's any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Love that. That's from Paul, who wrote, obviously, Philippians and many of the books in the New Testament. And lastly, from Proverbs 11:25. If you haven't heard this one before, remember it, because it's short and sweet, and sometimes it's really fun and powerful to remember Scripture, remember the words, and you can repeat them over and over again. And what's fun about it is that they can take on new meaning. The same words can mean something different as you grow and change in life. And so here it is, 11:25 Proverbs. Whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered. And again, that's just living in service of others and pouring out your energy and your love and your enthusiasm and your passion and pouring it into others. Because in return, you can't imagine how much comes back. As I said, the universe will never, you can't outgive the universe. It will find a way to 10 times or 100 times give it back to you. And that's powerful for me. And I don't always do a great job of it. Sometimes I don't do a great job expressing my desire to help others and serve others. I let my passion and my enthusiasm almost get too much. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what I want people to see is my heart. And my desire for them to be moved in life. That I had some small impact in their life, in them making a good change, positive step. Yeah. And I think that's what we're all in search of on some level, whether we admit it or not, or know it or not. Maybe it's hard to see in the work that you're doing how it can positively impact others. But if you're not feeling that in the work that you do and the life that you're living, then I just urge you to try and find a way to make that a part of your life and a part of your daily life, where you feel like what you're doing in the world really matters, has purpose, and really helps someone else's life. Again, that's a big part of why we do this podcast. In fact, it's the whole part. It's the whole reason. It's a ministry. It's a way for us to take our health and fitness platform and then merge and add in this other huge element of our driving force, our faith, our spiritual walk, and put all these together and talk about them very openly. And it's amazing how so many of our conversations that really are just really solely focused on fitness or health, how they have a way of also communicating some kind of faith element or something that's a little bit more spiritual, or it goes beyond just the physical. So anyway, I hope you found this encouraging, that there was something that I said today that resonates with you, that you'll want to reflect on, or have a conversation with someone else. Maybe there's something you've been putting off that really needs to happen, that tough conversation that really will just change your life and probably the life of the person you're going to have it with for the better. Maybe not instantaneously, maybe not at the moment, but down the line. So I encourage you to do that. So adopt some core principles, some core values, write some things down. And I promise you, if you start to live by those things, by those principles, you will see some wins and some successes in your life. and probably see them more frequently. We all have blueprints for our home. We all have, agendas and planning and goal setting in our businesses and stuff. We need to have it just as human beings as well. And so thank you for joining me here on the Strong by Design podcast here at Critical Bench. Again, I'm just one of the hosts. There's many hosts here on the podcast. Of course, Mike Westerdahl, the founder of the company, hosts some episodes. Tanya Fines is back in the mix. Good old Coach Tanya. She's hosted a lot of episodes over the years, as well as Jared Haley, who is a member of our video team, who is also a pastor and just a wonderful human being, father of 4, and just a terrific man. So we have a lot of us that, and we come together sometimes and have in-house discussions, and oftentimes we obviously have guests. So just so honored to be part of this and hope you enjoy this. Be sure to smash that 5 stars, maybe leave us a review. That would mean a lot to us. And share this episode with someone who could benefit from the things that I've said today. God bless you, and we'll be back next week, as always, here on Strong by Design on Wednesday when a new episode releases. We'll talk to you then.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.